Do palliatives work? Are we looking at another cash transfer regime? As the government tries to cushion the impact of its policies on the Nigerian people, the people are getting restless. And as we will hear in our focus on the FCT, hunger is not the only motivation behind the looting of warehouses and trucks in the FCT. My guest on the program sheds light on how much impact these interventions will have. And we have an update on the major stories from Nigeria's presidency. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Kayla Megwa. Let's get you that update. What happened in the past week in Nigeria's presidency? Please watch this.
President Bola Tinubu has stated his commitment to ensuring that adequate attention is paid to research, science and development. The president made the commitment during his investiture as the grand patron of the Nigerian Academy of Science in the Council Chamber of the State House.
I believe without great research and development, no nation can develop to achieve its desire. Paying attention to science and development is a commitment that I will continue to support directly and through various government policies and programs.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has condemned the abduction of internally displaced persons in Borno State and students in Kaduna State. According to a statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, the president has directed security and intelligence agencies to immediately rescue the victims and ensure that justice is served against the perpetrators of these abominable acts. The president said, and I quote, "I have received briefing from security chiefs on the two incidents, and I'm confident that the victims will be rescued. Nothing else is acceptable to me and the waiting family members of these abducted citizens. Justice will be decisively administered." End of quote. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has approved the indefinite suspension of the Managing Director, CEO of the Rural Electrification Agency, Hamid Salihijo Hamid, alongside 3 executive directors of the agency from office. According to a statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Ajuri Ngelale, the suspension follows new findings from a comprehensive investigation into the financial activities of the agency. President Tinubu has ordered a wide investigation into the conduct of the officials in a fraudulent mis-expenditure amounting to over 1.2 billion naira over the past 2 years, some of which has already been recovered by anti-graft agencies. The president has also appointed a new management team to serve in acting capacity with immediate effect. Vice President Kashim Shettima has inaugurated an intergovernmental committee on the carbon market activation plan constituted by President Bola Tinubu. The committee, which has the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue as co-chairman, is saddled with the responsibility of developing and operationalizing a carbon market system for Nigeria.
On behalf of Mr. President, it's my singular honor and privilege to inaugurate this committee and express gratitude for your participation. Let us never forget that the framework for international cooperation and a robust benchmark for carbon credit markets are essential. We need diplomacy, openness, credibility and consistency to ensure that our collective efforts contribute to the fight against the devastations of climate change. What we set out to do is something neither one individual nor an institution can do alone or in isolation. That is why I implore each of you to bring your vast experience to the table, giving carbon credits, carbon markets the impetus they deserve.
Climate change is now talking to both producers of oil and gas as well as users of oil and gas to begin to shift away from this oil and gas. This process of shifting away is what is known as either energy transition or decarbonization of the oil and gas system. To embark on this requires a lot of revenues, a lot of capital inflow and technical know-how. And the best way that countries like Nigeria that are in the global south can achieve this is to have sufficient and in quantum, meaning in large quantities, of foreign investment that can help to implement these projects in the country.
This is what is required for us to actually get the real value for all the efforts we are doing in our transition to carbon major neutrality that we have here. So we are happy that Mr. Vice President has magnanimously inaugurated us today and providing the leadership for this most important committee as far as this carbon market initiative is concerned.
The Senate has resolved that the leadership of the National Assembly will meet President Bola Tinubu over the security challenge in the country. This follows a motion of urgent importance raised by Senator Emmanuel Udeden on the killing of over 50 people in fresh attacks in no less than 5 communities in Kwande, Ukum, Logo, and Katsina-Ala local government area of Benue State.
Convinced that the utmost concern of and the purpose of government is the security and safety of lives and properties in line with Section 14, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. There's need to act urgently. Accordingly, resolves to urge the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Inspector General of Police, and heads of other security agencies to, as a matter of urgency, deploy security personnel to address the continuing and ongoing attacks by armed terrorists, parading assessment on communities in Kwande, Ukum, Logo, and Katsina local government areas of Benue State, with a view to flushing out the terrorists and stop the killing and restore normalcy to the affected communities.
Mandate the relevant committees of the Senate to ensure compliance with these resolutions. Those who are in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes are.
President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has questioned the provisions within the Siemens power contract under the previous administration. He indicated days after the consideration of a motion on the failure of a 4.2 billion naira transmission line from the Okmai Independent Power to communities in Delta State.
Recently, we had the ambassador of Germany to Nigeria, and she paid a courtesy call on the Senate, and we questioned the provisions in the Siemens contract that was negotiated by the last administration. We pleaded with the ambassador to intervene so that Siemens can see the need for a review of that contract. So it's we that sometimes sabotage the system, because even that contract, for somebody to go and insist that for an equipment you don't know anything about, just supply it to us, we will handle the installation, means that you are setting us back for around 10 years.
The House of Representatives Committee on Financial Crimes has resolved to issue warrant of arrest against executives of cryptocurrency platform Binance for failing to appear before it for an investigation. Chairman of the committee, Ginger Onwusibe, stated that the warrant of arrest is to compel the executives to appear before the lawmakers to answer on allegations of sponsorship of terrorism and financial crimes.
This committee has resolved to recommend that the House of Reps to invoke its powers, its constitutional powers, by issuing a subpoena and also issuing a warrant for Binance executives to be arrested and brought to this committee to answer these questions. Questions relating to financing of terrorism, money laundering, and other financial crimes, as stated in the petition, including evasion of tax. That's the position of this committee. This committee will proceed to make these recommendations, and other legislative actions will follow.
Welcome back. Earlier, we woke up to trending videos online of a warehouse and trailer filled with food items being looted. Well, the Minister of State for the FCT, Mrs. Maria Mahmood, paid a visit to the place and believes that the looting of the warehouse and that truck is not just about hunger in the land. Please watch this. This is what is left of the warehouse belonging to the Federal Capital Territory's Department of Agriculture and Rural Development in the Karimu area of the nation's capital after the facility was looted in the early hours of Sunday, March the 3rd, 2024. The FCT Minister of State visits the facility in the company of officials of the Federal Capital Development Authority to assess the level of damage. The minister gives a breakdown of the items looted.
Hoodlums attacked its very warehouse and packed everything that's here, including the grains, not only the food items that are here, including the roofings, windows, and even the gates of this place and offices were all attacked. Due to the nature of the situation in the country, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, gave us a mandate to distribute palliatives to all the area councils in FCT. And we were there, we did distribution about twice, and then about to do the third one where these trucks were here to offload these food items, and then they were attacked. Some were even injured. This is really a bad situation, and it's not something that we take it lightly. All those that are involved must be brought to book.
Already, 15 suspects have been arrested for their involvement in the incident, while some exhibits have been recovered, including foodstuff and other vandalized items. An earlier attempt on another warehouse in the Idu area of the nation's capital was foiled, and 5 persons were arrested by officials of the Nigerian army. The minister refutes claims of food hoarding and pledges to reinforce security presence in the warehouse.
This is a sign that we need to reinforce the security situation around all our warehouses, because you just have to keep food. You cannot determine how to distribute without doing the necessary arrangement, without assessing, without preparing. So when you have the warehouses, they are here just for you to keep what you have before you make the necessary arrangement. Not because you want to keep food away from the people. This food is for them. Nobody is going to take it away from them. But it has to be done in an according manner. But the way this thing happened actually is beyond hunger. This is a criminal act. Somebody that is hungry cannot move up to remove all the roofings that are here, all the doors, all the windows, and also the gates. So definitely something has to be done. Issue reinforcement of security personnel around all our facilities is necessary. Then we have to deal with those that are really involved. I've heard that some have been arrested, so we need to arrest more because we have seen it over the media. People were even composed to come and tell people that I'm part of it, I've done this, I'm not even regretting. This is not showing that we are good ambassadors of the nation. So definitely we are going to take action about this event that really happened, which is a very, very sad effect.
This is government palliative. All right. This is government palliative. Everything is being. This is gone. This 100 days I don't know roti. See, I don't know roti finish. See, give us this roti and we are dying.
Meanwhile, the FCT administration has denied reports of fresh attacks on a truckload of food, explaining that the attack seen in the viral video on Monday morning is part of the attack of one of the trucks on Sunday. My guest on the program is an economist, Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu, former chairman of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry and managing director CEO at Dignity Finance and Investment Limited. Dr. Ikechukwu shares his views on palliatives, cash transfers, and the hunger in the land, which he says must be addressed before things get worse. Welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much.
I mean, the last time we were here, we were talking about the economic situation at the time. Fuel didn't cost this much.
Yes.
And at the time, we didn't have to deal with a lot of things that we're dealing with right now. you at the time said things were going to get here based on simple math.
Yes.
Things were going to get here. So let's talk a bit about where we are right now. Is there any way out of the economic situation we found ourselves in? We keep hearing about interventions from the government. We're seeing all kinds of movements. From an analyst who's doing economics strictly, is this the way to go? Will it get us out of the situation?
In solving the problems of Nigeria, we need to isolate each of the macroeconomic issues. And part of what we're going to also isolate will just be the hunger in the land. Then if we're taking the issues of inflation, we have to identify the things that are causing inflation and also deal with them head on. If we deal with the hunger in the land and want to really produce more for the masses of Nigeria, for Nigerians, we need to reduce the concentration on of the federal government and focus on the states. The question I usually ask all the time is, what have the state governors done in their various states? How many acres of land are they cultivating? I think one of the reasons why we're having this food scarcity is the fact that the states are still not doing what they're supposed to do as states. Every state is endowed with one agricultural product or the other they can produce at very competitive price. But we're not taking advantage of that. Of course, we know the obvious reason, the fact that their monies are already cooked, their bread is already, their biscuits are already cooked and baked for them every month through FAC allocations. And so we need to have all states focus on what they can actually do to contribute to the center, to contribute to GDP, and to contribute to food supply.
I want to be able to get your thoughts on these raids we're seeing by Nigerians. Hoodlums or not, they are Nigerians, raiding warehouses and trucks and things like that. We saw the one in Abuja recently. Yeah. The Minister of State said this is not about hunger. Yeah. You came and you stole the gate and the roof and the doors. This is not hunger. You are a thief. Let's talk about this dynamic, because there is hunger in the land, but at the same time, we have a very massive population who are hoodlums. So what can be done here?
One of the offshoots of poor economic performance is the fact that while all these other indicators are looking bad, one other thing people will look out for will be this kind of restiveness, youth restiveness. And you see the fact that trailers are carrying food from one point to another, they are stopped and all the things they're carrying will go. It is purely hunger, nothing more. If I have food in my house, why do I want to wait for a trailer that is passing to stop and collect what they have? That was not happening before now. The fact that it's happening now, and it's happening around the time there is general hunger all over the country, will tell you that this is about hunger. So anybody who tells you that it's not about hunger, why would somebody who has fed well in his house want to go and steal something that is moving, a trailer that is moving, carrying food? But again, when it is partly hunger and partly the fact that people have to actually look for alternative sources of making money. People should not use hunger as an excuse to go and become hoodlums all over the place. So that's not a good excuse at all. It's just like catching a thief. The thief will tell you it's because of hunger I have become an armed robber. Will you accept that as an excuse? You will not accept that as an excuse. So,
it's not an excuse.
Yes, it's not an excuse. So what we have to do is, as a nation, is for all hands to be on deck. We need to be decisive on how to reduce hunger. We need to be decisive on how to grow the economy again, reduce unemployment. We need to be decisive on how to reduce the hardship that is already facing people today. Before now, we talked about how hot it was in the night, and the previous nights, people are suffering so much to survive the night. I went yesterday to look for a rechargeable fan. I went to 5 different departmental stores in Abuja. They ran out of them. They said everybody's coming for rechargeable fans to help them cope with the heat of the night. And this is happening when your ACs can no longer work. So the only thing that can work for you will just be rechargeable fan when there is no light coming from your grid. So these are the problems we have. The problems are so many. That's why I said we have to dimension each of them and solve them on their own. Because if you want to carry all of them together, you know the issues of power in this country is as old as I have been. And if I tell you how old I am, you will not believe how old we have had this, how long we have had this kind of problem. So we have to really deal with them and deal with those ones that have to do with social security for people today, so that Nigerians should not, we don't deserve to suffer the way we are suffering.
I want to be able to, before we let you go, because time is fast spent, the idea of pushing grains into the market and saying to drive down the cost of food, I've only heard of this in the Bible. I don't know if it happens in real life. You know the story in the Bible. So that's the only time I've heard it. Is that how it works? Is that something that can happen?
Yes. Each time I hear that, I have just an impression in my mind that this is not the solution. This is not the solution that we have. First of all, if I get grains, the grains, they say they should even distribute it to people. And I don't know whether such grains have ever gotten to your village and your grandmother or your siblings saying that they received grains. Your relations in the village say, I don't know whether they have ever received grains from federal government before. First of all, even if you release, is it 10, how many thousand? 100,000. 100,000 metric tons of grain they say they are going to release. There's about 42,000 metric tons of maize, and then, of course, I think about 60,000 metric tons of rice to be released. In 3 days, 4 days, it will finish. So what next? So what we need to think about as government is what is sustainable. We shouldn't waste our energy saying we are creating people's accounts with 5,000, 10,000,
25,000
yeah,
for 3 months. That's another palliative measure.
It's not going to last. It's not going to solve the problem of hunger. So it's if you cannot give people what will sustain them, then there's no point even starting at all. Those grains are not going to solve the problems of Nigeria. If you eat them once and they finish, that is the end. What happens the next day? So it's like shifting the evil day. Even if you call it even trying to solve the problem of the evil day, it's still not going to spread around the entire country. Because I can tell you, distribution of such a thing is going to be very, very Herculean for the government to do, to make sure it gets to every part of Nigeria. So I know that people usually say it is easy for INEC to go to all the polling booths in Nigeria. How come is it difficult? How come is it difficult for them to go to all the nooks and crannies to feed the people? Yes. So those are questions we have to distribute those grains.
Let me get that INEC document and maybe apply it to food distribution.
Yes.
That doesn't seem so difficult.
That's actually what we need to do. So. But my opinion is that it is not necessary. Let us actually look for states. Let the states actually grow their products, grow their agricultural products, and ensure that they let every state feed their state's people. Then that way, we're sure to feed Nigerians.
Well, that is all the time that we have on Dateline Abuja this week. But I want to thank you very much, Mr. Ikechukwu, for being with us on the program. And good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. The National Economic Council and the entire economic team in this administration has a lot to do to handle Nigeria's economic woes. Meetings and statements will not do. Are they going to deliver? Can we trust them to do what's necessary? Only time will tell. But the government must understand that there is quite a lot of impatience as Nigerians face a daily decline in their quality of life. Time-bound solutions are crucial right now. And that's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.